Most LGBTQ+ stories begin with someone who thought they're straight, and around high school, they may begin to question their sexuality. This comes with being in the closet, along with the shame, humiliation, etc. that comes from it. My story is a bit backwards, and often seen as a harmful narrative, so I rarely have a place to share it. I just hope that if someone could benefit from this often hidden story, it might be worth telling. I'm a 35-year-old female in the USA, for context. I had a really traumatic childhood, incestual abuse and all of that. Won't get into the details. One of the first times I felt love was in 5th grade. It was recess, and this girl I was friends with just boldly came up to me and kissed me. I don't think anyone saw or noticed, but at that moment, I emotionally latched onto her. We could psychoanalyze this moment, but for the sake of brevity, let's not. In middle school, she dumped me for this guy, who she's now married to. That took me for a loop. I kinda blamed her for turning me gay, and now she's abandoning me for a guy. WTF. I still identified as a lesbian. During this time, as I hit puberty, I exclusively checked out women and was never even curious about being with a guy. Towards the end of middle school, I started dating another girl. We trauma bonded over our abusive families, and she used blogging on Zanga as an outlet. I remember someone asking her about dating trans women. She had an anonymous ask me anything type of inbox, and she said something about not being sexually interested in anyone who is attached to a penis, which invited a slew of hate letters and death threats. This was a confusing time for both of us, but eventually, she attempted suicide, and I couldn't handle the pressure of being with her. These days, I hear that girls like her are called a TERF, though I can see where both sides are coming from. High school came around and I met this guy who played guitar for some band. He seemed really cool, and for once, I thought I might be interested in a guy. Over a year passes, we're dating, and he couldn't get it up for me, ever. I also dreaded kissing him. Turns out, he's gay, and being with me helped him realize that. We're still good friends and laugh about this a lot. College was weird. I learned that bisexuality is a thing, but a lot of the bisexual, curious women I met seemed to only be interested in me when they were drunk or if guys were chanting for us to make out. It felt like an object. Since I was into girls, girls took it as a free pass to shove their tongue down my throat whenever they wanted at a party. This isn't supposed to be something you complain about, because I should be so lucky that so many women wanted to be with me on a superficial level. My guy friends frequented strip clubs and I went with them. Cliché, but I met my first true love in a strip club. I could tell she was acting for the men, but they all thought that she was into them. She was a hustler. I would know, 'cause she hustled the fuck out of me, too. We moved in together almost immediately, and she convinced me to dance with her. She had red hair, I'm Asian, and we were basically a walking fetishist's wet dream. We made a ton of money and spent it all on her heroin habit. When I stopped dancing, she got desperate to pay her drug debts and eventually started sleeping with guys for cash. I had to leave her because she was a shadow of the person she used to be. But she really was the first person I loved, and we shared a lot of good times together, even if drugs took over in the end. Heartbroken. First joined the Marine Corps, lol. I met a lot of guys that I found physically attractive and even slept with some of them, but it felt like something was missing. With the women, I guess I'm attracted to women I trauma bond with because any woman I got close to had some sort of really bad habit, whether it's an ex they weren't over, alcoholism, or serial cheating. I also met a lot of great guys that I genuinely tried to date, but I just couldn't. Dating in your later 20s as a lesbian is hard, because everyone's dated each other. There's a lot of poly circles. I'm monogamous, and there's the debate whether I'm a real lesbian, since I entertain sleeping with men. Also met tons of women who failed to tell me she's in a relationship with a guy and is just looking to experiment, and unicorn hunters. I drifted for a while until 2 years ago, I met my current partner. I was seriously not attracted to him when we first met, but he was nice enough. Eventually, we slept together and I told him we can mess around, but I'm not into him. Then one day, it just happened. I woke up next to him a few months into being FWB, and I thought, holy crap, I have feelings for you. I'm 35 years old, and this is the first time in my whole life I've allowed a man to get close enough to me for me to be vulnerable. At the same time, he's the only partner I've had that's a healthy human being. He's seen me at my worst and taken care of me, and I've genuinely wanted to do things for him like cook him food and buy him DLCs to his favorite video games, without feeling obligated. We're considering tying the knot in the future, but overall, I feel safe, secure, and loved. So yeah, this is the very abridged version of the story. If anyone else has felt like their sexuality has been a part of their identity. Most LGBTQ plus stories begin with someone who thought they're straight and around high school, they may begin to question their sexuality. This comes with being in the closet, along with the shame, humiliation, etc. that comes from it. My story is a bit backwards, and often seen as a harmful narrative, so I rarely have a place to share it. I just hope that if someone could benefit from this often hidden story, it might be worth telling. I'm a 35YO female in the USA, for context. I had a really traumatic childhood, incestual abuse and all of that. Won't get into the details. One of the first time